Let's be real for a second. What if the way we think about mental health and addiction support is just completely backwards? What if the problem isn't the person who's struggling, but the world we're asking them to navigate? Today, we're going to explore a pretty radical new idea that flips that whole system on its head. Okay, so when someone's at their absolute most vulnerable, this is what we throw at them: a confusing, tangled mess of arrows, options, phone numbers, and websites. It's like it's designed to be overwhelming, right at the moment a person has zero capacity to deal with it. And really, this is the heart of the problem, isn't it? Our current system puts all the weight, all the burden, squarely on the shoulders of the person who's already struggling. We basically tell them, good luck, and wait for them to find their own way out of the dark. So let's actually dig into this. Why is this model so fundamentally broken? We're looking at a system that, in a lot of ways is actually built to fail the very people it's supposed to be helping. It really comes down to three key things. First, the approach itself is very clinical. It sees a person in crisis as someone broken who needs to be fixed. Second, it counts on their willpower alone to get through this ridiculously complex system. And the honest-to-goodness reality, when you can't even see where the help is, willpower doesn't stand a chance. I mean, this analogy just nails it, right? We would never, ever ask someone with a serious physical injury to go run a marathon to get to the ER. But that is exactly what we ask of people who are in a mental health crisis. It's absurd when you think about it that way. And this shows the journey we force people on. It starts with a person in need, and it leads them straight into a storm of confusion and panic. And where does it so often end? Right back where they started, in isolation, feeling even more hopeless than before. But what if we changed the goal completely? What if instead of trying to fix the person, we focused on educating the environment around them? Now, this is a massive philosophical shift. The core idea is actually really simple, but it's a game changer. We stop trying to fix the person. Instead, we educate their environment. We stop demanding that an individual change to fit our broken system, and we start changing the system to actually support the individual. The contrast here is just so stark. The old way demands that a person basically contort themselves to fit into a rigid, confusing system. But the new way, it changes the system itself to meet the person exactly where they are. And just look at the difference this makes. Instead of that chaotic maze we saw earlier, the Journey Way is a clean, direct path. It moves from obvious, clear signals to a real sense of safety, and it lands you right at support. It's simple, it's intuitive, and it just makes sense. Okay, so this sounds great in theory, right? Educating an environment. But what does that actually look like? How does this work in the real world? Well, it comes down to two key things. One, single, shared signal, and the context that signal creates. The idea is to put a single, physical, and totally privacy-safe signal. Think of it like a simple glowing object in the places people actually live and work. It's a universal sign that just says, hey, this is a safe place to talk. Support is understood here. And what this does is it creates something incredibly powerful called shared context. Unlike our separate digital lives, this one physical signal puts everyone on the same page. Your boss, your family, your doctor. It creates a common language so everyone can actually coordinate and be truly helpful. Now, I know what you might be thinking. What about privacy? This is probably the single most important principle of the whole model. It is not about tracking people at all. It's about tracking how ready the environment is to help. So, success isn't measured by tracking individual data. No way. It's measured by institutional change. The system tracks things like, is the signal visible? Are managers trained? Are resources easy to access? This keeps the individual's privacy totally safe while holding the system accountable for being supportive. And when you start educating the environment like this, something amazing happens. You begin to systematically tear down the very barriers that were stopping people from getting help in the first place. This approach has this incredible ripple effect across every part of our lives, from our closest relationships, our family and friends, all the way to our jobs and even the professional healthcare system itself. So here's exactly how it works. First, it lowers those emotional barriers, acting as a kind of CPR for the soul. Then it lowers social barriers by just normalizing the topic. It tackles structural barriers by signaling safety in really important places, like at work. And finally, it takes on procedural barriers by translating all that medical jargon into simple, clear steps. So, what's the ultimate vision here? When you put all this together, what's the world we're trying to build? It's a world where support isn't something you have to hunt for in a panic. It's something that's already there, just waiting for you. And this is the end goal. This is the whole point. When a person finally gathers up the courage to ask for help, the support is already there. The frantic, desperate search is over before it even has a chance to begin. By putting this unified signal across an entire community, at work, in homes, in clinics, we create a system that isn't just reacting to a crisis. It's calmly and quietly waiting to receive someone whenever they're ready. This quote just reframes the entire problem, doesn't it? Recovery and well-being are no longer just an internal battle you have to fight alone. In an educated environment, change becomes possible from everywhere, from your manager, a friend, a doctor, your whole community. And that leaves us with this one last really powerful question to think about. Just imagine the human potential we could unlock if support was no longer a maze to get lost in, but was simply there, waiting for us when we needed it. What could you achieve? What could we all achieve?